Okay, wow. So we are at the sixth episode already, and today I'm extra energetic because with us we have Arnima, who is the fitness coach as well as gym entrepreneur. So, how do you feel, Arnima, to be on our show?
Feel super excited, and it's really nice to have a platform where you can reach more people and get your voice out there. So yeah, I'm very excited.
So nice. I mean, this is a very different kind of a profession or an occupation, I would say, where people don't readily go for it unless they're really passionate.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to know how it started for you, like from your education or whatever.
Yeah.
How did you get into this?
So since childhood, I had one thing pretty sorted, that I want to be a business owner, and I was working towards it since childhood. Like since class 9th, I took commerce.
Wow.
And I was into it completely, topping the class and all of that. Like I really wanted to start something of my own.
Mhm.
But I also was very passionate about fitness and sports. Like I used to play sports. I used to play rugby, badminton, hockey, and I also tried other sports which I didn't like how horse riding, swimming, I didn't like.
Okay.
But these sports really helped me, work on my physical fitness and get me into the habit of training. So I was in a boarding school. Then I came back home, and when I came back home, I didn't stop training. I was still like doing skipping, yoga, all sorts of training. That time I used to be like physically active.
Mhm.
And then later on, when I grew up, I kept on training. Like I never stopped. Like I never stopped. There was, I think it was the consistency that is my passion. It's not actually fitness per se. I just want to make a change, and that's what inspires me on a daily basis. Like it makes me happy when I see people smiling or being in a better headspace, or physically they're doing better because of me, because of that contribution that I could make in their life. So I think that really motivated me. So I was working for a job, and then after 1.5 or 2 years in the job,
Like a
first of
9 to
all,
5?
I was working as a marketer. So I did my digital marketing and I did my marketing honors, and then I was working in an agency. And then I realized like I could not work under someone. Like it was hard. It was really giving
Isn't
me
that
a
the
tough
story of
time.
every entrepreneur?
Yeah, really giving me a tough time. I'm still very interested in marketing and advertising. Like it's always there. And as a business owner, you should know marketing. So that comes in handy very all the time. So then I left my job because while I was doing my job, I was also studying for fitness. Like I wanted to know more, and then I realized like I'm so much interested in biology. Then I started following all the pages and everything.
So from commerce to biology.
Yeah, that was like something very different because I never realized. And then I thought probably I should have been a doctor.
Okay.
But then I was like, if I would be a doctor, then would I be able to be a good businesswoman? So these things were always there in back of my head. But then I started pursuing this because I was already so much into fitness. Then it made sense for me to, study about this. So I started studying this, and then I started taking online sessions. And more than, me trying to take the online sessions, it were my friends and my family members. They were like, you are so fit. Why don't you take our sessions? That started when it was like, when we had that lockdown during COVID. So I started taking online sessions back then.
Okay.
And then I started earning more than I was earning through my job. I was like, why am I doing this?
Okay.
Then I resigned. And then I kept on doing it. And then I kept on learning, kept on exploring different kind of fitness regimes, from bodybuilding to powerlifting, different kind of regimes. I tried calisthenics, parkour, all these things, but I stuck to powerlifting because that gives me that rush, that adrenaline rush that I need on a daily basis, to keep going.
Yeah. That's very interesting. So you have come into this field now. In your mind, you have come into this. This is what you want to do. From there, how did this venture that you have did start? And what was the motive behind you building something like this? What did you see in the world that was missing that you had to solve that problem and then created this?
Yeah, so the thing is, when I started coaching people, of course, like I was studying and I did some part of my research, and then I started taking sessions. And after like 2 years, I realized like there are so many gaps that needs to be filled. When I meet a new client, all, especially women, like all they want to do is lose weight and look a certain way.
Right.
They don't care about their low bone density. They don't care about their muscle mass. They don't care about, what's going to happen after 2 months. They want to lose 10 kg in 2 months, but they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then they will, like before me only advising them, they will only tell, no, I started eating less carbs. I started doing keto. I started doing IF. And I'm just like, where are you learning all these from? Then I realized that, it's the influencers that kind of spread all these misinformation. And I feel like more coaches should come like in front of the camera and talk about these things, because people get influenced by these influencers who sit at home and copy paste and, try to follow these trendy content.
Right.
But nobody actually sticks to the basics that that we studied in biology. Like, you should eat balanced diet. You should eat balanced meals. You should go for walks. You should strength train. You should exercise. Nobody sticks to this. They want shortcuts. So that's what really inspired me to make a change.
Okay. So as a coach, I mean, how difficult is it for you to make someone unlearn all these things? Because invariably people are going through this on their news feed everywhere, right? Like social media, it's there.
Yeah.
So for you to, put someone through their own, you have to make them unlearn certain things and then give them a regime. And also, like when people are different, right? Like people, their bodies are different.
Yeah.
So how do you actually, the process of, looking at someone, your client, and then figuring out what is the right set of process for them?
Yeah, it took me quite a while to figure out how to go about this, because I would also, be in that zone earlier that I would people please. Yeah. And I would, be that trainer.
Correct.
Now I'm a coach. There's a difference. So when people come up to me, they know like I'm coming from certain years of experience. That is there. But of course, it's difficult to build trust in front of people who are new. So what I usually do is I have this system where I do one interview before getting my client. So I also have a filter out process for my peace of mind, Okay. So I have this process where I call all the clients after they get their blood test along with that. And then I ask them questions relevant to the blood test, like, why do you think your cholesterol is high? Why do you think, this is not going a certain way? So they tell all of these things. They tell about their lifestyle, their nutrition, what they think about fitness, what their short-term, long-term goals are. So that's when I try to, engage and tell them with factual, research facts that these are the certain things that we have to work towards. And then they realize, oh, nobody told us in this way. So I think that's that kind of a icebreaker that I do with my clients in the beginning, 1 hour of session before we start the training, which really helps me, develop that trust factor in them. And I tell them to, start for a month and see. And in a month only, they are able to see that, they are able to feel better. They're able to, be able to hold their grocery bag easier, the water bucket easier, all these things they realize that they were training all this while doing everything that they could, but they couldn't do it because they were following the trendy path of it.
Right.
So I think that really helps.
So that's actually very interesting, because that moment, right, which you are talking about, when you're lifting you feel much more stronger. Yeah. And when you wear a certain t-shirt or something, you feel much more complete.
Yeah.
So those are the moments which actually motivates people to, keep it going.
Right.
But to reach there is it's actually a habitual change, right?
Yeah.
So have you had difficulties in convincing, you might have had clients who are not consistent, who are would do the opposite of what you said.
Yeah.
It is, and it's not a like a school where you coach that way, right? So how is it hard for you that way, or is it even hard?
Yeah, definitely it is hard. Every person is different, but most of my clients, thankfully, are able to understand in the first month and make that change. But there are some people who take longer, but I just be a little bit more patient. And like when I do that selection process first for my clients, I also figure out whether that person who's in front of me is coachable. Because some people, they are just not coachable. Okay. And, to save my sanity also, okay, I kind of don't engage. But I know this person has potential. So I kind of build that habit over time. It comes over time. And, they will join with this goal of, I want to lose 10 kgs in a month or something like that, like some weird short-term, they have very short-term perspective in terms of these goals. So to be able to break those down for them, and then after 1 month or 2 months, they'll only come and be like, Arnima, I want to learn push up, and that's my goal for the next month. That kind of changes because they are seeing the difference of following a good basic fitness routine. It doesn't have to be all flashy and trendy, and every day you're doing some different workout. You're sticking to the basics and progressing from there. So that really helps.
So you're coming back to that instant gratification that is a trend that is, invariably we all are succumbing to that.
Yeah.
You would have started as an online coach, or how did it start for you? Training these people, and then how did that evolution come into a physical gym?
So when I started in COVID, of course, it was online. And for a few months till the time the lockdown was over, I was doing online. Then I started doing offline. People who were nearby used to go visit their places, and they would come home. I would have those equipments at my place, like some basic barbell plates that I could source from Amazon that time, because it was like high on demand that time. So I started there, but then when I started doing offline, that's when I started getting that kick from the work. Because earlier I was like, I'm earning more and it's like flexible. I can decide when I have to take the session and I don't have to listen to anyone, I'm my own boss in this. So I started this business. But when I started doing offline, then to be able to see that smile in your client's face when they get their first push-up, that's different. When you're in front of them and training them, you can't, you can tell everything, through different ways of communication. You don't only stick to words that you stick to in online sessions. So in offline sessions, you can talk through the physical presence, the kind of empathy and consideration the client would feel from your side, because you genuinely want to make a change in their life. So that is different in offline, and you can get a better relationship out of it, because you guys are, even during breaks, you guys are talking and laughing, and you can train more people in one go. So there's a good community that builds up. So it's it's more fun. It's not boring.
So this, you're the one who's going to physically, face to face, you're going to deal with all the clients, right? So is it difficult to manage capacity, or the number of people who sign in? So are there any capacity issues where you put them in batches, or?
Yeah. So definitely, if you have to scale as a coach, you cannot do it by training one client in 1 hour.
Right.
So I do have a batch system where there are 6 people in one batch, 6 to 8 actually. And in one batch, I also have 2 other coaches, 1 or 2 other coaches, and I'm hiring more coaches so that I can get more help, because that's very much required, because if you are the only person, you can't give full attention to any client. So you need at least 2 people when there are 6 to 8 people to take care of them. And also what happens is, in one batch, there will not be everyone who is beginner or who's a new client. So I have this process where in the first month, I try to, teach them all the basic concepts that are required for training. How to engage your core, how to move your scapula, how to differentiate back training from upper back training, all these basics that everyone should know. How to get in that position to do a chest press, how to keep the heavy dumbbell back, how to use the machines. These small things, making the client independent, is what we focus on the first month. So we have to handhold those new clients, but it's always a mix of new clients and old clients. And old clients are already knowing their stuff. Right. So you just need to guide them on how much weight they have to put, how better they can make it. So you just have to supervise. So that way I'm able to balance it better. Yeah.
So, it's definitely hard in that way, right? Because your business being a service business in one way, it's difficult to scale, because unless you're there physically, sometimes even if you're hiring around 6 coaches, the same kind of motivation, the same kind of
energy.
As an entrepreneur, I'm asking you this question. So it's hard for them to be in the same level as you.
Right.
Now, how do you inspire them to do that? And of course, it cannot be done through monetary gains only, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is, how is your hiring process itself in that place? In that sense, is it something which you look for particular qualities to hire?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going through that process right now, so my experience is very fresh.
Okay.
So yesterday only I called 15 trainers, and out of which only I could find 1 or 2 suitable ones. Not even suitable like completely, but little remotely. Because when you're dealing with personal training clients, they are paying you a certain amount which is higher than a general client would pay. So you would want your coach to also have that kind of personality and speaking skills.
Right.
So they should know English, they should have good personality, they should have problem solving, they should be able to answer to all the questions that people have if they're paying so much money. So I think that's the first quality I see, because these things are more difficult to learn. You can teach anyone the form and how to make it better and how to supervise all these things, but teaching this personality aspect is very difficult.
It's very abstract, isn't it?
Yeah, so I focus a lot on that, because a coach should have a good communication skill. So that's what I look for in the starting. That's very important. Yeah.
Okay. Only if you could reveal this, how much does a coach earn on a monthly basis? Or
Again, depends on where and what kind of training you're doing. So if you're a gym trainer, then your pay would be around 12 to 15K per month, which is a fixed salary. And then you get based on personal training clients. So you get commission from the gym, and most of the gyms, they don't pay very much. So they will pay 50-50, or they will take 60, they will pay the trainer 40 or 30. So that's why it's more important for coaches to have their own business. Yeah, so that they can scale. That's actually a problem in our country, because being a trainer is not looked at something that is respectful, I feel. And people don't take these things seriously. And also for the gym industry, gym owners are not trainers. That's the problem. Gym owners are business people. They don't want to pay their employees, and they take advantage of it, basically. That's the thing. And also the thing is, like, there's no good education system, if you see, in our country in terms of fitness trainers. Like, they are not given the same kind of privileges. And most of the times, since the gym owners are not trainers, they have more money. So, these trainers, they can't afford to even study. And all the courses that you have to do, which are remotely good, are international courses. And most of these courses have old syllabus that is given. So they also don't have that motivation to, learn and do better. And because of this stigma that, being a trainer is something not respectful, people don't get into it, especially people who are educated, who are having good personality, have learned from good schools. They are not getting into it, because because of that stigma that is there in our country. So I wanted to change that stigma. First of all, being a female coach only is a big stigma.
Because
female strength coach, and then breaking that from being a business owner is another stigma. So
kudos to you for that, because that way you're fighting against all odds. So you were saying about the gym owner aspect, right? So is it actually profitable to have a gym these days?
Definitely profitable.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely profitable, but you have to make sure you have your certain rules and terms and conditions in place, because people take advantage of it. Because if you see in our industry, in our gym industry, people have discount mindset. All these big brands that are there in our gym industry, they have created that discount mindset in the people, that even if they come to my gym, they are like, okay, what are the offers? Do you offer free trial? I'm like, I don't even know about your body. How can I give you a trial without knowing what I have to do? Right? So recently a client asked me, like, you don't have a weighing machine or BMI machine in your gym. And I was like, this is how, like, these things they use to, scare people, that, if you don't take PT, you will, not lose fat. You will not lose, not fat, you will not lose weight. It's a difference. There's a difference. So these things are there. So I wanted to break that barrier. So I am very strict when it comes to discounts. I don't give discounts, because I want to get back what I'm putting in. And, you can, how much longer can you do it? Even for your employees, like, if they're not getting paid, how much longer, how much effort they will put in to make themselves better. Like, in IT and all of that, people upskill. Here, people don't upskill because they don't have any future that way. Like, they don't get more salary.
So you're thinking basically high volume, less volume and then high margin, rather than the other way around. So that's okay. So this, when we are talking about most of the gyms, right, they are not actually physically active, but more of business mindset is what they have. So they are just looking at giving those discounts, and so what kind of for your business, what kind of people are you targeting, and how are you, which avenues are you reaching them, and what is the mode of marketing for you in that sense?
Yeah. So I feel like if you have to make a change in any industry, you should target the people who lead the country. But of course, not the country. I'm a physical studio in HSR Bangalore. So I have to target the people who are like coming from a higher class or higher middle class in the area, so that if they are more aware, then there can be more awareness.
Yeah.
In general, like people will know more because they will go and talk to other people who are at the same level. So that way my audience, like target audience, is mostly like people who are able to afford my service. So I charge around 13.5k to 20k per month.
Okay.
So someone who's able to pay that much for gymming is someone would be my target audience. But also people who have injuries, certain health conditions, to understand that of course physiotherapy is the first step after you get injured. You have to get rehab done, but after rehab, what happens? You have to strengthen so that next time it doesn't get worse, it doesn't get chronic, or you're able to deal with it better, you get stronger. And most of the times if you get injured and if you train on it, you become stronger on that joint. Most of the times, depends on the severity of the injury, of course. But so people who have these issues like health conditions, injuries, certain things, that weaknesses, that pain areas that we need to work on, so those are my target audience. Like I want to tell them that you can lift even if you have your back injury done.
Okay.
You can do these things, because after you get injured, you kind of lose that confidence to lift stuff.
Right.
So or to feel strong again. So I want to change, like those are actually my target audience. Like I want to change their mindset into thinking that you can do better.
No, that is something which is very relatable for me, because personally even I have gone through some injuries, and that mindset is always there to get back into the same weights. If you were lifting 10 kgs before, you're a little bit constrained now. So just let's do a game, like you just convince me on why I should not. I'm coming to you and I'm talking to you as a client, and I'm not able to getting the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
What would you tell me to?
First of all, I'll tell you like what is the fine. Like I'll ask you. Now this is my question to you. Why do we have muscles? What does muscle do?
It holds your form. I mean, I don't know. This is
okay.
I'm
So
going to give you
muscles help you in movement.
Right.
Like muscles are attached to your bones. So if for example, my biceps are contracting, this will lift up. So this is helping me with this movement. So muscles help you with movement. But if you don't have enough muscle mass, how do you expect your joints to feel supported? How do you expect to be strong? So whenever you get an injury, that's an indication. You have pain, that's an indication that you need to work on this area.
Okay.
Like high time, bro, let's strengthen this part.
Okay.
But what do? We get scared that it will get worse.
Right.
So first step is to get it diagnosed, of course, and go through the whole process of rehab with the physio and a good sports physio. And then after that, you have to continue strength training from a certified good coaches, around you, around your area. That is very important. So, and after that process, because when you get an injury, it's very important to increase the blood flow to that area. So that helps in healing process. Yeah. So if you don't strength train, it will stay like that. It will take its own time to recover, and sometimes it becomes chronic. But if you work on it, if you, for example, you get a knee injury, and if you don't train your quads, your hamstrings, all your leg muscles, then it won't feel supported. So it might get worse. So you have to make these areas stronger so that it can support your knee, and so that it can help you recover from the injury. It can take the load from the joint, and it can help you progress from there. We do better.
So the game is basically, if you're finding something painful or in a particular places, you need to train it more.
Yeah, it's an indication. Yeah, that you need to strengthen it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that should be your thought process. So that is something that I want to change also, like in this field.
Nice, because that's the common misconception or whatever you would want to say.
Definitely.
So strength training, right? Now we're going to get into the gym. Inside the gym, you have so many things, so many equipments are there. For someone who's just come newly, all they know is about the treadmill. Like, you can run there and then reduce your weight.
Yeah.
What other ways are there for someone? Like, so many, you spoke about calisthenics. What are these things for a common man, for a layman? You could just explain different ways.
So whenever a new client comes, my first step is to make them look around the whole gym, like show them, okay, this is the deadlift platform, this is a squat rack, and I have a different squat room because I want my clients, like my students, to focus while they're squatting. Because when you're holding something like 100 kgs on your back, you can't have people walking around in front of you. So it's like you have to be focused. You have to have that focus to lift the weight. So that's my first step. I'm showing them around, and then there's one treadmill that is there. Mostly my clients would use it for warm up, or they wouldn't use it at all, because I always encourage them to go out and walk or jog if they have to do cardio. So that's the first thing I'll tell. This is a treadmill that no one uses, so that it's in their mind that okay, here there is no cardio. Because cardio is something that you can do from anywhere, any gym. Like, what makes us special is the strength training part of it. It's learning the movements. So movements, basic human movements that are important, like squats, hinges, push, pull, rotation, weighted carries. All these things we focus on a lot. Even developing skills in them to do push-ups, pull-ups, dips. All these things improve strength a lot. So we focus a lot on strength, and we achieve that through combining powerlifting movements, which is SPD, squat, bench, deadlift, which is also my specialty, and bodybuilding movements, calisthenics movements, and plyometrics.
Okay. And I've heard what deadlifts is one of the most complex exercise. I mean, not complex that way, but you need to keep the form right, but it works out the most number of muscles in your body. So it's basic thing, right? Like what you said, primal thing of
lifting something off from the floor.
So, but it can go wrong. For some people, it can go wrong. Have you had any instances of injuries with your clients or anything?
Most of the clients, like, I've had those instances only when they have come with the injury, most of the times. But of course, there will be times or days when they are stressed, when their body inflammation is high, when they've not gotten enough sleep, they've not been eating well. These are actually the most important factors that cause injury. It's not the form. That's a misconception. Like, if you're able to pick something up, your body is designed to do it. Like, if you straighten your hand, this is something that your body is designed to do. You can't straighten your hand, bend your hand backwards, right? That will be an injury, true form. But if you're able to lift something which you're designed to do, which is like you just pick up something, but you should be able to have that much muscle strength, that much readiness in your body to do that much warm up. So there are a lot of factors that come into place when all these things are concerned. But of course, like whenever a client gets a pull, my first thing is to tell them to not stop movement, like keep moving, so that the blood flow is going on in that area, and it's recovering faster. Then I'll give them more stimulating exercises around the injured area. Like kind of give some stimulus to that area to heal faster. Then I'll ask them to avoid ice packs, because it kind of restricts the blood flow. So there are a lot of ways as to which you have to deal with the injury. Of course, depends again on the severity and the cases, kind of case that you have. But definitely I have many clients that I'm training right now who have had injuries, back injuries. In fact, in the morning, I trained one client who had really bad spinal injury. So, but it's getting better. Like I have one client, it's actually a very good success story to talk about. I have a client, Melanie. She's still my client. She's been training with me for almost 1.5 years now. And she came with a slip disc. She came with the wrist fracture. She came with the ankle sprain.
Wow.
And in
so many injuries in one person.
So after a year of training her, now she's squatting 100 kgs with those injuries. So, and without any pain. She's doing it very nicely. In fact, not only that, she's walking more confidently on the road, like while she's walking, she feels more confident that, after all these injuries, I can lift so much. It's like, a misconception.
That plays a part, right? Because when you are actually fit, it plays on your confidence, it plays on the other aspects of your life as well. The success stories, right? Anything, you do handle both men and women. We would also like to know who are the more inquisitive people, or just a bit of variation between both of them on how they approach fitness differently. Are there any misconceptions for
Men.
men? And when women come, do they have those inhibitions to lift weights because they might think that they might get those big muscles,
Yeah.
which won't look attractive?
Yeah.
So, anything on that?
So definitely there are a lot of gender specific myths around training, especially for women. When we talk about, women don't come to the gym often because it's filled with men most of the times. They feel a little bit intimidated that okay, this is not my space. But I'll tell you from my experience, like all the female clients I have right now, none of them hate training. They go home smiling, laughing, they're happy. On days they miss, they'll text me, Arnima, I really miss training. How can you say it's not made for women? When they're enjoying it so much, they're doing it so passionately, they're excited about their push-up, their squat for the day, they're excited about their workout. So it's really unfair to think that way also. But apart from that, of course, in the beginning, they will have all these things in their head that, okay, if I lift weight, I will gain size and I will look bulky. What makes you look bulky is not the muscles. Muscles can grow to a certain limit because you don't have that much testosterone in your body as females, very less compared to men. Secondly, you have to really train for years to even reach somewhere close to that. Whether you're a male or a female, you have to have consistent training for that kind of look. And that kind of manly look, as to like what they say, is mostly because of steroids.
Got it.
Right? Naturally not possible unless you have such kind of genetics. But what makes you look bulky is actually the fat layer on top of it. So you have to work on getting enough muscle mass, improving your metabolism, improving your steps to feel good and feel lean, and however you want to look. Even if you want to look bulky, that's okay. So that is something for women. And of course there are other many, like the list goes on and on, like they can't lift during periods. There was one client of mine, so her uncle texted after seeing her 80 kg deadlift video that do it after pregnancy, don't do it right now. So they think that uterus will fall off if you start lifting. So these kind of myths are there, but little do they know that after, like, there's one client of mine, she was taking medicines to get her periods, and after training for 3 months, strength training for 3 months, she said goodbye to the medicines. She's getting periods naturally. So it really helps you balance your hormones as women. And for men, the kind of myths that they have would be like, if you strength train a lot, you become stiff, you lose your flexibility. That's a myth. If you are not flexible, you do stretches. But if you strength train, if you train with the movements, if you're doing squat, you won't be able to sit down in a squat if you don't have mobility, right? So if you're sitting down full in a deep squat with the weights, that's the best way to do a mobility training, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
So these are some kind of myths that men go through. And also in my career, I have faced this issue a lot. Like, it was very difficult for me to tap into the men's section of the industry, because as a female coach, I mostly get female clients. But nowadays I've been seeing the change, probably because the kind of information, word of mouth,
Okay, so is that a thing, like when client comes to you and when they see that, okay, you're the one who's going to train me or coach me, and I'm thinking in my head, as a man, maybe a man would be much more relatable, or he would know more of this thing. That conception is there, right?
That conception is definitely there. I feel like since that's the whole mindset of it's not made for women, even women are like, unless they are exposed to that kind of thing, they will not go into that. And they're also not very much pushed towards that lifting part of it. So I think that's one reason why. And secondly, of course, like men, they see progress faster. Like even male coaches, they would see progress faster. Like the kind of training I do, and if you make a male coach stand next to me, he would look more fit.
Correct.
Because of course testosterone.
Right, yeah, 100%.
And I think also
biology.
It's because biology. And also because I feel like there's a lot of difference. Like, I will tell you from my personal experience, I cannot talk about these things because I'm not very sure of it. But with my personal experience, I did have a client, a male client. So I had written a workout. He came and he rubbed it off. And he's like, I want to do arms.
Wow.
I'm like, well, we need to work on your leg strength too, and you have arms tomorrow. He's like, no, you don't understand my goals. I want to look big. You're training me like how you would train a woman. And I'm like, excuse me, you also have legs. Even women have legs,
Right.
you know. There's no different training for women or men. That's also a
Mm.
misconception. Intensity can be different. But, during periods or PMS week, the way you are planning the training can be different, but the exercise movements are the same. We are the same body, that way. Organ wise, of course, it's different, but there's a difference. But same body wise, it's the same. So, I told him, then he's like, I told him, like, if you train your lats, your shoulder, that's when you look bigger. You won't look bigger when you have bigger biceps. And biceps, you can grow only this much.
Correct.
Like, it's the triceps that grow bigger. Yeah. It's the lats that make you look bigger. So these things, it was very hard for me to, break that barrier and make him understand. And at the end of the day, I had to let him go because, I can't, I couldn't get to change his mindset. But that's like just one client, but that's like one bad experience. But honestly, all the male clients I have are gems. They're like so nice because they understand where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a knowledgeable background where I've done my research. I have the experience, so they respect me for that.
Right.
So I want to deal with people who respect me and my knowledge too.
Nice. Actually, I might give you an insight, or maybe you would know this already, being in the profession that you are. For men, they hate to do legs. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they like chest, they like biceps and shoulders.
Yeah.
Those are the things that are much more prominently seen. So it's like invariably it's a leg day. We really try to, so many memes about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is there. So yeah.
And for women, it's the opposite. Women like to train legs more than upper body because they don't feel that strong. They don't feel that strong when they are training upper body, and they feel like they look bulky. Right. So they want to train more of the legs.
But it's just definitely crucial. If you just divide the human body, the legs, which is the lower body, the core, which is even more critical, which most people they think abs is the core. That's the only thing. We'll talk about it. And then the upper body. So yeah, we did speak about the gym being a very profitable business, but then how much does an investment cost? Like someone has to open it newly in a peak location. The rent is going to cost something. But what other things they have to keep in their mind? Equipment, where do they source it from? The trainers, hire them. So all those aspects. Tell some.
I feel like before even planning to start a gym, because of course it is a high investment project. Of course, not as high investment as construction, but it's somewhere close to investing a lot because it's not just a service you're providing, it's also the equipment and the quality of equipment that you're providing and the regular maintenance. And you have to have good lighting in the gym because it has to look like bright. You should have that energy. So you have to invest that way for sure. Around, like, depends on the size, around 15 lakhs to 1 crore you have to invest. But also, like, the kind of business I have is more of a personal training studio. Okay. So I invested around 10 to 15 lakhs to start with, and I was making profit in the first month itself, but not the break even from the investment point of view, but at least operationally it was doing very well. And it is still doing very well. So that way it's definitely profitable. But I feel like to be able to reach a place where you're able to break even depends on the kind of marketing you're doing and the kind of name you have in the business. So since I have been a coach for a long time, I was expecting that more people would come to me. Reviews really work. Word of mouth really work in this business. In terms of personal training, really works. So I think what you have to work on is networking, getting a good client base for yourself, getting good like having a good marketing strategy. That really helps in that. But of course, in terms of electricity, you have to keep it very less. Because anyway, like, you will need only fans, because I don't have AC in Bangalore. Whether you don't need AC, but if at all you need AC, that's like one-time investment. But of course, when the sessions are going on, you turn on the AC. Otherwise, you don't need the AC. Then Wi-Fi is there, but that is also optional because if for me, my business is not that very automated that everything is getting registered. I have a system and that kind of works. We have forms and all of those things that work. So you don't need so much of Intel or IT and all of those things involved in that. So that's where you save cost. But of course, I think what you actually should invest in is getting good coaches. Get like giving them enough money, so that of course your clients can see that those coaches are getting paid well, they are doing their jobs well, they have that kind of motivation to do stuff. In terms of rent, of course, if you must have seen gyms being on the fourth floor, third floor like that, it's mostly because of the rent, because we kind of save there. Because you can't really scale so much in a gym business. So again, that depends on marketing. So yeah, investment wise, it's gonna be profitable, but depends on the kind of model you have, business model you have. If you're aiming to get more money through memberships, that's a different model. If you're aiming to get more money through personal training, that's a different model.
Okay.
But I can guarantee that personal training can work wonders if you invest yourself into it, if you invest time into learning and doing good market research and getting first some experience in hand, so that you can handle a gym business. That's very important. Then it can definitely be profitable.
But okay, so personal training, as compared to membership, I thought all the gyms do both, isn't it?
Yeah, all the gyms do both. For my gym, my membership is restricted to certain amount of people, because my whole point of starting a new gym was to make sure there's no crowd. So people who want to pay higher price to have an empty gym, that was my model, business model.
Like
that is my
high
business.
volume.
Less volume, more money.
Got it.
Like that. So people usually pay much more than compared to other gyms, but the benefit is that they get complete end-to-end training. Right. They get a crowd-free gym. We have a community. Like, we know these are the certain people that are coming. There are no new people coming. Even if they come, we have a good welcome session for them. Like, we talk and interact. Everybody is getting coached from one person, and following the same system. Right. So you don't feel intimidated. You don't feel like you're not doing better. You don't feel like a beginner. You don't feel like people are gonna judge you, because there are not all sorts of people around. There are only those people who want to learn. So everybody has that learning mindset.
Okay, no, that's very true, because from my personal experience, I've seen in the gyms, most of the times, if it's crowded, it's a mood off. Like, you don't want to wait for your bench press or whatever.
Yeah.
Another thing is your trainers there, right? When they have the concept of personal trainer in the gym, they give more attention to them. Yeah. So for someone who just subscribed, or the regular model, whatever they've done, when they go and ask questions, depending on the mood of the trainer, or depending on how much of workload they have, they might not cater to you as much. But what you're saying is, in your model, you have one-to-one kind of a mapping to the...
It's more like a group personal training, but everything is end-to-end programmed. Okay. And we literally handhold our clients in the first month, teach them everything, all the basic concepts. And later on, month after month, they get independent and they know what to do. They just need regular supervision. That's all. So we do group sessions through which they feel like, okay, they are also being looked after. Even on days that they have to do their own workouts, they send us videos and we monitor their form and send them feedback. And we have this group where they keep sending their meal pictures. So we tell them, okay, add this to your diet, add that to your diet. And I've also seen that this thing in my gym is that when for example, there's one client who was doing a squat, and the other client is like, I'm not able to get that much depth. How are you able to get so much depth? They are talking in between among themselves. And she's like, you know what? I tried sending my knees out and I sat, it worked for me. And they are only discussing the strategies. They're only discussing how are you able to get so much steps. So that kind of relationship is there. So I feel like it kind of takes away my load to build a community like that, where people are so closely connected and openly talking about stuff without the fear of judgment.
So because they have a network of their own, it's very easy for them for you to take.
And everybody is following the same system. I think having a system in place really works, especially for gyms. This is very important, I feel. That you should not give extension to memberships. Okay. You should not give so much discounts, because that makes the students kind of desperate for those things and they don't value your service more. So if you actually want to create value in the industry, you have to charge what you deserve. You have to have system in place and structure in place that, okay, these are the session timings, you have to come at these timings. If you don't come, your loss. But of course, you be flexible in a way that if they miss 1 or 2 sessions, you can adjust that. But if you keep doing that, it will not be profitable. You will not get if a client joins on first and they go for a trip, they fall sick.
Hmm.
If you be empathetic or deal with it personally to that level, then you won't get your payment on first. You will get your payment on 15th.
They would ask for
Or by
one
the
month
end of
extension.
next month. Your business will not work. So I feel like having this structure is very much required in this industry.
And it's been working for you.
It's working for me.
Okay.
Because I don't even want to deal with those clients who don't value my service. And most of the times in the beginning they will be hesitant because it's good amount to pay compared to other gyms. But once they get to understand the kind of value I'm giving to them, that's when they don't even question it later. I get my payment on first. So kind of works.
How many clients do you have? Are you currently running on?
So right now, if you see gym basis, like I have gym clients, and I have my own personal training clients that I have different prices for. I have nutrition clients. So if we talk about gym clients, there are around 23 people right now.
Okay.
Yeah. We started 7 months back.
No, why I basically asked this question is because you're talking about not compromising on the fees or whatever.
Yeah.
So India is very price sensitive, right? All of us are having that at the back of the head. However rich we are, we're trying to keep it little extra. So someone who's not willing to come for a service like this, and you are able to still have a network because of the work that you put long back. So again, if someone has to start something of a different strategy, right? Because everybody is competing on prices when it comes to the gym. If someone's giving 10 months of 10K, someone is giving for 12 months for 10 days, those kind of things. So that building a network is the most crucial thing, would you say? Or what else should people really focus on if they are trying to build a model like this?
So most of the times, if you see, our industry is very trend focused. Like we think a lot about what is going on on Instagram, what is going on here and there, and that's what the usual crowd follows, and that's what the trainers try to follow to be able to fit there. But nobody thinks about the gaps, small gaps that we have here and there, and how to fill them. Like we see a lot of these companies that are very famous, and they have these group sessions and all of that. And if you speak to any physiotherapist, they will be like, okay, most of the injured people come from there.
Right.
So why is this happening? So what's the root cause? It's because we're not working on strength. So you have to figure out gaps in the market and work on that, and also try to do better than what other people are doing. Try to do better. See the problems. Like, of course, there are different gym owners and coaches. They are going through certain problems. Like, be attentive as to know what are the problems in the industry and try to see how you can do better, how you can make that difference. Yeah.
Okay. So, we were definitely talking about strength training as such, right? So, I'm very curious to know there are different types of training as such itself, isn't it? Some people do it for their endurance, some people do it for their stamina, like people who run for marathons and all.
Yeah.
So, how different is it for strength and someone who comes newly? And you said that you had an interview process. Do you actually ask all these questions on how they want to build themselves?
Yeah. So as I said, like it's a customized kind of training program that we provide. So people come from different backgrounds, of course, with different injuries, but they also come with different goals in terms of that, I am a badminton player.
Yeah.
Like I want to, work on my agility, the way I move, how fast I move. I want to work on my pushing strength, like throwing strength. I want to just enjoy life experiences.
Okay.
Like there's one client of mine, she loves going for treks, but she wants to work on that. So how through strength training are we able to reach there? So these are the very important questions that you ask in the beginning, like all these questions about these stuff. Why are you doing it? And this is one question, but you also need to ask them, if you ever trained, why did you stop?
Okay.
That gives you an insight at what demotivates that person. So it helps you strategize better for that client. You need to also ask them, how are your friends? Do they also train? That gives you an insight as to how much you have to push that client. If they also have people or their partners
for a movie or something.
Yeah, if they have their partners going out for a run every Sunday morning, that's the first step. Then you ask them, like, okay, start going out with them. So those kind of questions are very important in the beginning. Yeah. So the difference between endurance training or cardio-based training and strength training is
of course, exercise execution, like cardio and all of that. You don't have to be very mindful of how you have to do the certain exercise. Like you have to run, you have to run. And of course, those things like what gears you're wearing, your shoes and all of that plays an important role. Your electrolytes, all of those things, how you're programming your seconds, how interval training, all those things matter. But execution as to how you're tempoing it, how you're stretching the muscle, contracting the muscle, how you're programming the intensity in terms of, because when it comes to weight training, right, there's a certain muscle fatigue that happens. Of course, that happens in cardio, but not to this extent where you get that much of muscle fatigue. Even if sometimes you don't have soreness, you have muscle fatigue, your muscles are tired. So how do you program as to how you peak? Like peaking, when I say peak, you slowly increase the weight. Then when they have reached that level, they'll start showing signs of reaching the peak. Then you have to deload them. Then you have to peak again. So it's never like this. Like it's always up, down, up, down. And when you see it from a far view, it's a straight line now. Of course, if they are consistent. So I think that's the training wise. That's the difference between cardio and endurance training. Then of course, if you see technically, the kind of energy systems that we use are different. Cardio will burn more of fat. The energy system that uses fat. But compared to muscle training, it uses carbs for energy. So the kind of difference, but of course it uses both. But it still is different, the kind of energy system you're using, because when you're running, you're panting more. When you're doing strength training or weight training, you're not panting that much. So you are feeling the soreness more. So the energy systems are different that way, technically. But in terms of goal, like what you are able to achieve, through cardio, you can, of course, increase your heart muscle endurance. You can, in fact, also build muscles around your legs, and your core can get stronger. But there's a limit to which it can go there. Like to be able to sustain your running, or sustain your cardio, or sustain your sport, or sustain your activities as an individual, or your job, whatever you do, like an artist. If that person is painting and standing for long hour and painting, her shoulder, her wrist, all these, her back, her legs should be strong enough for her to stand in front of the easel and paint. So all these activities you can only achieve through strength training. So that's the difference.
So yeah, like you're saying that when you're talking about that, right? Some people go for that failure. I have to do the workout till my muscles are getting sore.
Yeah.
Is that actually a right way? And there are also some things called drop sets where people go from higher weight in the beginning and then they drop it down to the lower. So is that all actually recommended, or is that in people's head?
Yeah. So actually, that's definitely recommended.
Okay.
You should train till failure, but you should know when and what and how much and what kind of experience you have to be able to train till failure. You can't ask a beginner to do that because they either might not recover, might not be able to straighten their hand. It will not go well with the general kinds. Because if you train till that failure and if your body is not used to it, or your muscles are not having that endurance. Like if someone who's trained for 4-5 years or even 2-3 years, if they've trained at that range, and also depends on the volume you're doing. Volume meaning the amount of reps, sets and weights. It's a combination.
Multiplication of that.
Yeah. So if you're doing like heavy volume, then it depends on your maturity of the train. There's something called training maturity. How mature you are as a trainee. So if you're matured enough, then of course it works very well for you. But if you're just learning, then you have to follow certain guidelines. First, you have to do like high rep sets, get used to that, build some endurance in your muscle mass, see whether you're recovering from the exercises, be able to understand what are the signs of overtraining, undertraining. So that's very important. But yeah, it works.
So, Arnima, any advices that you would have for people who wants to become a trainer, like you said, what kind of certifications they need to do? Or you're also saying, right, you're also looking for people, maybe through this channel you could get someone who's also in the same line of thought. So what kind of advice would you give someone who wants to become a trainer
Yeah, definitely. So there are certain good international certifications that they can do, but for the sole objective of learning the basics, anatomy, movements, understanding the basic energy systems, how everything works in this body, learning about all the heart functions, all these simple basic stuff that any trainer should know, is why you should do certification or a formal education, MSc in sports or something like that. But eventually, what actually matters is dealing with people. Because nothing surpasses what you learn from experience, what you learn from daily trial and error process, because nobody will teach you that. Nobody will teach you that someone who is 55 years of age has certain injuries, has this weakness, all these permutation, combination, and how to strategize that. You will be able to learn better by experience and also by training under a good coach. And also by training yourself. Like you must have mentors and coaches in the industry, but good ones that actually know their stuff. And other than that, you should personally strength train so that okay, there are certain things that books don't teach you. Like, for example, okay, I'm not able to feel this muscle, what do I do? Making a small change that you must have done while you are training, that helps. So you can't just be a trainer, you must be an athlete, you must train to be a coach. So I think these things are important. And last thing, you have to, not last. Somebody told me to always say one more, don't say one last one. Okay. So one more thing is that you have to keep an eye on all the modern research facts that are happening, all the modern researches, because that's very important and nothing can teach you. Nobody can teach you. None of the certifications are that fast. They don't update it so fast. So it's very important to be looking out for information and keep learning in the process. Like you can never be a know-it-all coach. Like that's a red flag. If a coach is a know-it-all coach, it's a red flag. You can never know enough.
Okay. So you're being very modest there that you're not a know-it-all. I mean, that's very nice. So it was actually a very content podcast episode for me, Arnima. I'm not sure how it was for you expressing all these things, but yes, I really hope that this motivated some of them to come to the gym. Everybody knows that going to the gym will make them fit and everything. But they're just looking for some push, right?
Yeah.
So I hope this is one of the episodes where they got that. And occasionally here and there I was also flexing my muscles just to look bigger. But thanks a lot for this presence and your insights on all these things.
Thank you.
Yeah, we hope that we might have a part 2 if we haven't covered everything. So thanks guys. So we'll catch you again next week. And if you haven't already done, like, share and subscribe.
Thank you. Bye bye.